Coming up, breaking news. Pittsburgh police receive a call to a house where they find the body of a deceased woman.
Another chilly start, possibly some windows scraping before we get to the sunrise hour. Cold continues, the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Kansas lawmakers hear a bill regarding wind turbines that could impact rural residents in southeast Kansas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Buck. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip. First look at the forecast.
A little bit of the difference today in the fact that we were talking about some wet intersections and keeping an eye and see if that developed any slick spots yesterday because we were below the freezing point. Well, today we are nice and dry, yet we are nice, dry, and chilly. 26 degrees right now over 7th and Range Line in Joplin, and temperatures actually about 6 to 7 degrees cooler, especially in the northwestern section of southeast Kansas, where we're still sitting in the teens, and those are actual temperatures, not wind chills. The teens in Sedan, Neodesha, and Yates Center. Southwest Missouri, however, sitting at 27 in Monette, Cassville, and Neosho, Miami, and Grove, all the way up to 28. Dividing line of cloud cover from the southwest to the northeast, but once again, no rain associated with it. We still got that north breeze. It has calmed down quite a bit, so our wind chills are actually not too bad. Weather trend for today going to lift us up into the mid-40s, just a touch above what we had yesterday, and gradually warming up a little bit. You can tell all the rain stays down there through central Arkansas. We're really not going to have much to worry about until we get to, remember, Thursday. Thursday is when we actually have a little rain that works in for Thursday night, but the big factor is that cold front that still wants to develop a little snow for Friday morning, and overnight lows still from Friday into Saturday sitting right there at 14 degrees.
Well,
and then we'll spring those clocks forward.
Yeah. Spring forward and be ready for spring.
Yes, it'd be nice. It'd bring us back spring temperatures.
That would be nice. Usually that's kind of a sign of starting time for that,
I'm
right?
hoping so.
Yeah, well, we're going to run with that. All right, thanks, Michael. Authorities discover the body of a woman in Pittsburgh just before noon yesterday. The Pittsburgh Police Department was called to a residence at 1105 West 4th Street for a report of a female subject who had not been heard from in some days. Officers and Crawford County EMS responded to the scene and discovered the woman deceased inside the home. Authorities have not released the name of the woman, and the death investigation is being treated as suspicious in nature at this time. Anyone with information should contact the Pittsburgh Police Department. The number to call 620-231-1700. Police officers rushed to rescue a woman from a house fire in southwest Missouri, and quick thinking by the first responders saved the life of a Webb City woman. Fire broke out just before 7 Sunday evening on the 500 block of West 3rd in Webb City. Webb City Fire, Webb City Police, and Met's ambulance responded. Both Joplin and Oronogo Fire responded as mutual aid. The first to arrive were 2 Webb City police officers. They were told an adult female was trapped near the fire in a back bedroom. The rear door of the residence was blocked by fire, so officers busted out a window and pulled the female to safety. She suffered unknown injuries and was taken to an area hospital for treatment. Firefighters had the blaze under control in about 35 minutes, but the home suffered extensive damage. Red Cross was called in to assist the family. No firefighters were injured fighting the fire. People in Crawford County are not stopping for buses. In fact, the Sheriff's Department says the number of people going around buses with their stop signs engaged is going up. In response, the Sheriff's Office says it will be cracking down. Deputies will be out patrolling school bus routes and issuing violations, which can each total more than $400 after a fine and court cost.
You know, your compliance with this will make it safer for the kids. And if we get that part out of there, maybe that'll make somebody kind of think about it and be a little more aware. It might be one less ticket or one less person that gets hurt over it. So kind of hoping to do an education and awareness portion first.
Above all, the Sheriff's Office wants people to remember that not stopping for school buses that have their stop signs engaged puts the lives of children at risk. Pittsburgh State University celebrates the completion of a renovation of the original Broadway entrance of its Russ Hall. Now, the original entrance was built in 1940. This renovation was funded with gifts from senior classes of 2000 and 2003 through 2008.
Those senior class gifts are usually the first gifts as donors to an institution, and giving back is critical. You'll notice on campus there are tag events all over that celebrate and acknowledge the gifts that are made possible through gifts from community members.
Opening coincides with the university's annual Apple Day celebration. Speaking of Apple Day, Pitt State faculty and students celebrated a long-standing tradition. The event was started in 1907 when the university's founder, Russ, and Pittsburgh's mayor at the time lobbied lawmakers in Topeka to fund a permanent building for the school. During the lobbying, Russ broke a rule by sitting in a legislator's seat and was fined a barrel of apples. When the delegation returned, students jokingly fined their faculty another barrel, which the faculty paid. Ever since, PSU's faculty has celebrated Apple Day by distributing apples in various forms among students.
Yeah, it's an important tradition. I mean, I think if you look out there, you've got several dozen different desserts that students, faculty, and staff have made. So yeah, it's just one of those really fun traditions that we have here at Pittsburgh State.
Also, as part of the Apple Day, the university presents awards and scholarships to students and faculty. Yesterday was what PSU calls Apple Day for its faculty and current students. However, for PSU alumni and community members, it was also Giving Day. Giving Day is a 24-hour campaign encouraging alumni and people in the community to give back to the university. There are special challenges to raise funds and awareness for different departments and programs.
These funds will go to student organizations. They'll go to essentially anywhere that the donor wants to have those funds go. But it's a chance to say, hey, give back, support Pitt State. And again, along with Apple Day is one of our oldest traditions. We're hoping that this new tradition, it's our 5th year, we can add that to everyone's mind as well.
You can visit our website for more information on how to donate towards Giving Day. Kansas lawmakers will hear a bill concerning wind turbines this week, one that could greatly impact residents right here in rural southeast Kansas. The Senate bill would prohibit new wind turbines unless they're equipped with a light reduction technology. This means the lights would turn on only when an aircraft is near. The bill's sponsor, Senator Mike Thompson, says he's seen these lights negatively impact residents of rural areas.
About the only concern we've heard is from the Department of Defense, because with the aircraft, whenever they do any kind of flights, it would be sort of a way to be able to track their aircraft, and they're a little bit concerned about how it might impact that.
The bill will be heard in a committee this Wednesday. Celebrate the women in your life today, because today is International Women's Day. Each year, March 8th celebrates the social, economic, and political achievements of women from around the world. The day also brings international awareness to gender equality. According to the World Economic Forum, global gender equality is estimated to be achieved by the year 2133. It's too far away. This includes healthcare, education, employment, economic gain, pay, and protection under the law. It's 5:07.
If you had to scrape the old windshield yesterday, chances are we're going to have to do it again this morning, because it's very similar in nature, even a little bit cooler off to the northwest to begin our Tuesday. Staying on the dry side, a little actual less cloud cover than what we started Monday with, but we're still going to say today mostly cloudy skies throughout the duration of our Tuesday, and not a whole lot of movement temperature-wise from where we topped out yesterday. I mean, 1-2 degrees warmer, that's about it. Finally get to the 50s for Wednesday and Thursday. Remember, Thursday we're still eyeballing some late-night rain that'll flip over into snow for Friday morning.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we head on over to Pittsburgh High School, where student athletes signed their intent for a collegiate career. Plus, a student in Indiana receives a seemingly innocent email that turns out to be a scam. We're going to have the full details. And therapy is generally done in an office. However, some big chain pharmacies are now offering it. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Two seniors from Pittsburgh High School signing letters of intent as Cooper Hayden and Andrew O'Doherty continuing their athletic careers in the college level. Hayden signing to play baseball at Neosho County Community College, going to play on the infield and pitch for the Panthers. O'Doherty, he's headed the MIAA route, joining the football program at Washburn.
This has been a very long-term goal for me. I've wanted to play baseball in college for basically the whole time I've been playing baseball. It's good to see that my hard work has paid off, but I'm excited to, put more hard work in and maybe go farther.
One of my former teammates, LJ Butcher, is also up there, and he was someone I looked to for advice, and he had great things to say about them. I am not on scholarship. I'm a preferred walk-on, but hopefully I can just earn my stripes and move up the depth chart, and hopefully make the coaches know who I am.
Congratulations to the both of them and their families as well. Galena boys 22-1, coming off of a 65-39 win over Columbus in the sub-state championship game this past weekend, and that win earning the Bulldogs a spot in the state tournament. This will be Galena's third straight trip to state, as they finished as runner-up last year. It's a team hoping that this experience in big games pays off this time round.
We knew we had a good group coming back again, that it would be that'd be our goal to come out first and try to win the conference again. We did. To win the sub-state, we just got that done Saturday night, but then to make it back to state and take another shot at it.
We've been in a lot of big games over the last couple of years, and I think that's going to really help us. Just like getting the nerves out, just being familiar with the basketball that's going to be played up there. We got to be ready for every battle we have.
Galena gets Thomas More Prep in the quarterfinal round. That game is set for Wednesday, 8 p.m. in Hutchinson. Missouri Southern women 11-7 through their first 18 games. Lions on a 6-game winning streak headed into the MIAA opener and opening conference play this week. Lions going to host a doubleheader. Central Missouri coming to town on Friday.
We found out who this team is as far as energy goes and what it looks and feels like when we're at our best. I think just playing the tough competition early, getting through that together, sticking together, we're starting to find ourselves now. We'd be lying if we didn't say we're trying to win it all. We're going for it, and I think in order for us to take a step in the right direction for this program, it's time to make some more noise in the postseason.
Missouri Southern basketball finished as runners-up in the MIAA conference tournament. The Lions falling to Fort Hays State. A defensive battle in the championship game on Sunday. Final score 48-42, the lowest scoring title game in MIAA tournament history. Lacey Stokes led the Lions. She had 15 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Lane Skiles added 10 points and 5 boards. Both Stokes and Skiles aimed at earning all-tournament team honors. They were the first 2 Lions to ever receive that recognition. Southern's historic season not over yet, as they have earned the 4th seed in the Central Region, so now it is back to work as Southern faces St. Cloud State in Hays, 7:30 Friday night.
They're hurt right now because we wanted to win this championship bad, but the thing is we get an opportunity to play again. One thing for sure, Fort Hays, it'll be a great atmosphere because their fan base. It'll be a lot of fun, and our kids will be excited about playing in front because they love playing in front of big crowds against great competition. So we're looking forward to it.
Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, Justin Trudeau visits the Queen after her recovery from COVID. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Want to remind everybody that this week happens to be Severe Weather Preparedness Week. And of today's importance, Missouri and Kansas will both be conducting tornado drills, statewide tornado drills. And these are going to include storm sirens and NOAA radio drills. And we're going to do that at 10 o'clock this morning. And this only takes place, it's scheduled every year, but it only takes place if there's not the threat of inclement weather. You certainly don't want any confusion there. And since we do not have that threat, we'll have mostly cloudy skies, but we'll be dry and cool today. So those drills will commence as scheduled. Once again, statewide tornado drills for Missouri and Kansas at 10 a.m. this morning. So do not be alarmed when they go off. Got to make sure everything works here as we head in to severe storm season. Our daily almanac quite a bit below our average high and average low, coming off of yesterday where we were only in the low 40s, and our temperatures right now in between 18 and 28. We don't even have anybody at the 30-degree mark. So earlier we were talking about if you ended up having to scrape the windshields yesterday, probably going to have to end up doing it again today. Cloud cover moving in from the southwest. No precipitation involved with it, though, staying dry. Everything that we do see for today will make its way through central Arkansas, kind of stay out of our way. Big trough of the jet stream now digging all the way down to Mexico, almost down to El Paso before it juts back up. But because we are on pretty much the north side of the strongest of the airwaves right there, that's why we're going to have the colder temperatures really for the rest of this week. We'll get a little bit better here as we get toward the middle of the week, but not a whole lot of changes until we get to Thursday. Afternoon planner for today, mostly cloudy, highs around 44 degrees. Wind not going to be too bad today. That'll be one of the nice factors. And then overnight, as we gradually clear out overnight, pretty calm, actually. Probably very little breeze. What we do have is going to be variable, and at least it'll come in from the southeast at times. Here's future track. There's that rain down to the bottom right through central Arkansas. It just kind of juts right through. Then our skies begin to clear off. Nationally speaking, everything done on the East Coast for the time being, and then they kind of reload there on Wednesday. They're going to get not only thunderstorms, but also some ice and some snow. Ours will appear on Thursday. That's when our Thursday night rain will transition over into some snow on Friday. Accumulation numbers shouldn't be too impressive, but that's what we'll be awaiting, that's what will be waiting for us by the time we get ready for Friday morning's commute. Then we head into the weekend. Cold on Saturday, and about a 20-degree difference there, warm-up wise on Sunday. Time now to turn our attention to the KOM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, as it is National Consumer Protection Week. And scams have become more creative and personal to trick you out of your money. Aaliyah Blackburn has the story how it's conning people that really you may not ever expect.
As soon as she read it,
that's an email that musicians get fairly regularly.
Teresa Shunk's guard was already down.
They emailed my piano professor saying that they were looking for a pianist to play for their wedding.
Teresa is a music student at DePaul University in Greencastle, so the email seemed to check out, especially since it had specific details.
When I tried to ask them, what type of music do you want? Is this sort of music good? They were like, oh, it's fine, whatever you choose. And that was probably maybe one of the first warning signs.
After negotiating pay back and forth through email, Teresa got a check for $1,900 in the mail.
Once they sent me the check, they told me that they had accidentally written me a check that was too large.
So they asked her to send $1,700 back to a PayPal address, and she did a few days later.
I believe I deposited the check on Monday. The funds went through probably the next day, and it wasn't until Friday that the check bounced finally and the funds left my account.
Teresa's story comes as a warning from the U.S. Postal Inspection Service as scams these days start to get a little more personal.
These scams continue to evolve over time. What would you say is causing that? What's causing them to take off and be so intricate and strategic?
They do their research, and it's all out there on the web.
U.S. Postal Inspector Kathy Wolling says it's not hard to find out personal details, no matter who you are.
I can imagine they would do this in similar ways for other types of artists.
And as Teresa waits for updates on the investigation, she's hoping others learn from her mistake.
If you have those little suspicions, because there were little clues. They weren't big, but there were little clues that maybe this is a little fishy. Just, it's not worth it.
The USPIS says scams like counterfeit checks and work-from-home fraud can be hard to track because many of them originate outside the United States. But of course, there are ways to protect yourself. It brings us to our something to talk about question. Have you ever been scammed? Remember, we keep this anonymous, so you don't have to give your name with it. We're just curious to know if it's ever happened to you. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote takes you directly to the poll. You can also connect to us via our Facebook page, or if you've got your phone handy, snap a picture of that QR code right there. That picture will deliver you to the poll. We'll try to bring that back here a little bit later so you don't have to scramble for the phone right now. Sit back and enjoy your coffee. We're coming back doing Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, it's been a stressful couple of years for many Americans, and that has people thinking more about their mental health and looking for help. And now some big chains are offering therapy in a place that might surprise you. Bradley Blackburn reports.
Shakira Teagle faced a fork in the road a few months ago. The 29-year-old newlywed felt real stress from the pandemic and decided she needed help.
It's not always easy to, just talk to the ones around you because we're all kind of like going through the same thing.
She started researching therapy options, but never expected to find it here, inside her local pharmacy.
Were you surprised to find this at CVS?
Yes, for sure. You walk into CVS and get some medicine, some soap, some toothpaste. You never think, hey, let me walk to the back and go schedule a therapy session.
CVS has hired licensed therapists like Luz Gomez-Caceres in dozens of stores. She says in this setting, she's able to reach patients who might not feel comfortable in a traditional office.
It's the same service that you get. The difference is that it feels very casual because you're coming through the store.
4 in 10 Americans report symptoms of anxiety or depression, up 30% from before the pandemic. Now more than ever, therapy is in demand. Online therapy has boomed. And like CVS, Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens are all piloting mental health services in stores. CVS says these clinics make mental health care much more accessible. Patients can just walk in and wait for an appointment, and stores have expanded hours to nights and weekends. Teagle says she had trouble making an appointment elsewhere.
Coming here, I've learned ways to kind of, talk myself through situations and talk things out.
Finding the right person to talk to in a convenient place could make all the difference. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania.
Surveys show people often have trouble finding a therapist who accepts insurance, but CVS and those other big chains work with many insurance plans. Attention Generation X, there's a chance you are not as smart as you could be because of lead poisoning. A new study shows almost everyone who was born between 1961 and 1980 was exposed to dangerous levels of lead. According to the study, about 170 million people in the U.S. had dangerous levels of lead in their blood during their early childhood years. And you didn't have to eat paint chips to get it. The study's authors blame leaded gasoline, which was commonly used to fuel cars in the 1960s and 70s. They estimate affected people lost a collective 800 million IQ points, or about 2.6 points per person. Now, if you were born between 66 and 75, that average jumps to 7.4 points. All told, about 53% of the total population had high level of lead in their blood as children. The study was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Whatever, we're just a bunch of slackers anyway. Throw up the X. Highs around 44 degrees, mostly cloudy skies today, gradually warming up to the middle of the week. But remember, Thursday night into Friday, a little bit of snow. We'll be back right after this.
Coming up, breaking news. Pittsburgh police receive a call to a house where they find the body of a deceased woman.
We'll be lacking for a little sunshine today, and that'll be reflective upon our temperatures. And we even have some snow by the end of the week. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Kansas lawmakers hear a bill regarding wind turbines that could impact rural residents in southeast Kansas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:33. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Friendly reminder, 10 a.m. We are doing statewide tornado drills for both Missouri and Kansas. This is part of Severe Weather Preparedness Week. Remember, we would only do these if the threat of inclement weather was nil, and we do not have to worry about that. So we're able to test out those citywide, countywide sirens. NOAA radio, got to make sure that they're working as well. And so don't be alarmed when you hear the sirens go off. It is a test, and today is a good day to do it. Be mostly cloudy skies, but no threat of any precipitation. It is going to be a chilly one, that's for sure. 26 degrees is what we have over 7th and range line right now, way below the freezing mark in some places. And give you an idea on the Skywatch Storm Tracker how that cloud cover kind of divides us in half. But the clouds, instead of like yesterday where they actually moved off through the course of the afternoon and evening, they're going to stick around, if not grow here. And that's really going to keep us at bay temperature-wise. About, I'll say mid-40s, 44, 45 is about as good as we'll get. All the rain will stay down through central Arkansas. And our next shot for precipitation is going to be Thursday night. Remember, even though we warm up here on Wednesday and Thursday into the 50s, Thursday's got a big cold front on the backside of it. It's going to take some of that rain and flip it on over to some light snow for Friday morning.
All right, well,
The
definitely
big factor is going to be there that Thursday night into Friday morning, that transitional period when we work our way from the rain through the snow, and we've got to fight that wintry mix right there.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye on
Yeah,
that.
that'll be the big thing for this week, travel-wise especially. No travel concerns today.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was able to dry off yesterday, so that's kind of a welcome relief with the cold temperatures this morning.
All right, just the cold we have to deal with. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, authorities discovered the body of a woman in Pittsburgh just after noon yesterday. The Pittsburgh Police Department was called to a residence at 1105 West 4th Street for a report of a female subject who had not been heard from in some days. Officers and Crawford County EMS responded to the scene and discovered the woman deceased inside the home. Authorities have not released the name of the woman, and the death investigation is being treated as suspicious in nature at this time. Anyone with information should contact the Pittsburgh Police Department. The number to call, 620-231-1700. Police officers rushed to rescue a woman from a house fire in southwest Missouri. Quick thinking by first responders saves the life of the Webb City woman. House fire broke out just before 7 Sunday evening on the 500 block of West 3rd in Webb City. Webb City Fire, Webb City Police, and Met's ambulance responded. Both Joplin and Oronogo Fire responded as mutual aid. The first to arrive were 2 Webb City police officers. They were told an adult female was trapped near the fire in a back bedroom. The rear door of the residence was blocked by fire, so the officers busted out a window and pulled the female to safety. She suffered unknown injuries and was taken to an area hospital for treatment. Firefighters had the blaze under control in about 35 minutes, but the home suffered extensive damage. Red Cross was called in to assist the family. No firefighters were injured fighting the fire. Well, some Southeast Kansas residents say they'd like to see the state to limit the annoyance of wind turbine lights. KOM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with a Labette County resident and state senator on a bill that aims to fix the issue.
These wind turbines might not look like much during the day, but at night, all you can see are bright, blinking lights.
We were traveling home from doing some ministry work and came up on 101 highway to head home towards Mill Valley, Kansas, and we noticed just a bunch of red flashing lights that just went miles from about this view.
Debbie Kramer is a concerned resident of Labette County. She says the lights from the wind turbines that guide aircrafts hit rural residents like herself the hardest.
I'm here to voice the concerns of those who do have to live around the lights continually.
Senate Bill 478 would make Kansas wind energy systems possess light mitigating technology systems in compliance with federal aviation regulations.
The way it would work is that most of these work on radar technology. So when there's an aircraft nearby, it turns the lights on. Otherwise, the lights stay off. So it would greatly reduce the amount of time that you're seeing those aviation lights flashing.
Kansas isn't the first state to look at technology like this. In North Dakota, state law requires most wind farms to have this technology.
But now they need to step up and start helping to protect our rural Kansas because it really is impacting an awful lot of people.
Kramer says not all residents are affected by these lights, but the ones who are could really use the relief.
There's nothing that we can do to keep lights off of the turbines. It's there to protect the aircraft. But what is important is that this Senate bill, it's a great answer to alleviate the annoyance of the lighting issues that we have.
In Labette County, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The bill will be heard in a committee on Wednesday. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. And we'll get back to that in just a moment. But first, we're discussing scams. A college student in Indiana got scammed. She got an email that seemed totally legitimate, but it turns out it wasn't. She was discussing paying for this couple's wedding, and they sent her a check for $1,900. But they claim they sent her $1,700 too much and asked for it back. So she did that, but then the rest of the check bounced. Brings us to our something to talk about. Have you ever been scammed?
And we made it so, we're keeping this anonymous. So it's, we're not asking for you to come out and be like, yes, my name is such and such, I've been scammed.
Unless you want to share your story so others don't make the same mistake, go to our Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
There you go. 11% say yes, it has happened to them. Luckily, 89% right now say no. They have not encountered anything like that.
Yeah. That's good to see. That's good to see. The majority haven't.
KOAMnewsnow.com/vote, or as Tanya said, if you would like to, you can connect to us via our Facebook page, or if you'd like to leave your story there as a warning for others, please do.
These scammers are getting trickier, and they're finding ways to get to us. So, I mean, if you see something new out there that you had never heard of before, then feel free to share it because you only want to protect your friends. Yeah, for sure. All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, we'll have how a museum in Fulton, Missouri is reflecting on the Iron Curtain in 2022 due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Plus, South Korea's elections happen on Wednesday. We're going to take you to meet the candidates and how their election would impact the country. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch as Wednesday's presidential election quickly approaches. South Korean presidential candidates are finalizing their campaigns. CNN's Paula Hancock has more from Seoul.
One of these men will likely be the next president of South Korea. Human rights lawyer turned Governor Lee Jae-myung on the liberal side. Former state prosecutor and political novice Yoon Suk-yeol on the conservative side. From day one, they have to deal with a North Korea that appears more concerned with testing weapons than talking. Neither candidate has foreign policy experience. Lee supports the sort of engagement current President Moon Jae-in has sought with minimal success, but favours a multi-pronged solution.
We need dialogue as well as sanctions. We need incentives as well as disincentives. The most important thing is to secure trust.
Yoon believes sanctions should be eased only after denuclearization is complete, even hinting at a preemptive strike if he saw signs of an offensive launch against Seoul.
North Korea has only improved their nuclear capabilities and disregarded inter-Korean dialogue. I will prepare a peace treaty only when and if North Korea moves towards complete and verifiable denuclearization.
For years, South Korea has been walking a tightrope of a strong security alliance with the United States and a growing economic relationship with China. The next president may feel more pressure to choose.
A lot of scholars in Korea always talked that we have to be balanced between the United States and China. And obviously, the time and the period for that kind of tradition is ending.
Lee believes he can strike a balance.
We are moving the US-South Korea alliance into a more comprehensive one. But we cannot ignore the economic relationship and geographical proximity to China.
Yoon is looking for stronger ties with the US, including the installment of a second anti-ballistic missile system THAAD on South Korean soil. China staged an economic boycott after the first was installed in 2017.
South Korea and the United States share an alliance forged in blood as we fought together to protect freedom against the tyranny of communism.
Gender equality is also a key issue, particularly among younger voters. A unique clash of those pushing for more equality for women and so-called anti-feminists claiming discrimination against men. Yoon is courting votes among the anti-feminists, promising to abolish the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family if elected. Lee has been more vocal on women's rights. A third candidate, Shim Sang-jung from the Justice Party, is expected to garner young female support, but her polling numbers have been low, leaving a close battle between conservatives and liberals. Paula Hancock's CNN Seoul.
A judge in Canada frees one of the main organizers of the so-called Freedom Convoy. 49-year-old Tamara Litch has been in jail since February 17th. She's accused of raising more than $10 million on GoFundMe to support a protest against COVID-19 restrictions that lasted weeks. Police eventually cleared out demonstrators who occupied Canada's capital city. Truck drivers participating in the protests also blocked bridges leading to the U.S. for weeks. A judge ruled on appeal Monday. that Litch's trial is likely so far in the future, the amount of time she would wait for it in jail would likely be longer than any sentence she would receive. He freed her on a $25,000 bond and ordered her to leave Ottawa within 24 hours, not to contact protest co-organizers, and to stay off social media. Well, Britain's Queen Elizabeth II holds her first in-person meeting since recovering from COVID-19 with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Elizabeth, who, if you remember, is also the Queen of Canada, met with Trudeau at Windsor Castle on Monday. Trudeau was in the UK for talks on Ukraine with Prime Minister Boris Johnson and their Dutch counterpart, Mark Rutte. The Queen and Trudeau have met several times. Trudeau first met her as a child when his father, Pierre, served as one of Canada's longest-serving prime ministers. Ukrainian residents in Lviv are getting trained on how to use a gun by members of the Ukrainian army. People in the western city are lining up to learn how to use arms in order to protect themselves after Russian forces invaded Ukraine. According to officials at the training center, around 1,000 people have been trained just in the past week. The age of those seeking training range from 14 years old to people in their 70s. The center has become a civilian training hub for nearly 25 nearby villages. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Crawford County Sheriff's Office says it has seen a rise in people going around stopped school buses with their stop signs engaged. In response, the Sheriff's Office says it will be cracking down. Deputies will be out patrolling school bus routes and issuing violations, which can each total more than $400 after a fine and court cost. Ribbon cutting on Monday marked the completion of a renovation of the original Broadway entrance, Pitt State's Russ Hall. The original entrance was built in 1940. This renovation was funded with gifts from senior classes of 2000 and classes 2003 through 2008. A number of other events celebrated Apple Day at Pitt State, including the traditional Apple Dessert Contest. Apple Day is the university's longest-running tradition. And while Monday was Apple Day at Pitt State for faculty and students, for alumni and community members, it was also Giving Day. It's a 24-hour campaign encouraging alumni and people in the community to give back to the university. There are special challenges to raise funds and awareness for different departments and programs. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Following up on those 2 days, it is statewide tornado drill day for both Missouri and Kansas. This week happens to be Severe Weather Preparedness Week. And so this morning at 10 a.m., because we do not have the threat of inclement weather for today, we will be testing those storm sirens not only in cities and counties, but also on those NOAA radios. So once again, do not be alarmed. Statewide drills from Missouri and Kansas at 10 a.m. Come down, break down the rest of our week in just a little bit with more KOAM Morning News.
In March of 1946, Winston Churchill delivered his now famous Iron Curtain speech in Fulton, Missouri. But this year, some of the passages resound more loudly because of the situation in Ukraine. Jessica Hart explains.
At Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri, Winston Churchill gave his famed Iron Curtain speech 76 years ago.
From Stettin in the Baltic to Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent.
It changed the geopolitical map. It defined the Iron Curtain in much of the last half of the 20th century. This was an extraordinarily significant speech, and the ripple effect is with us today.
Timothy Reilly, director and chief curator at America's National Churchill Museum, says they honor the anniversary of this speech every year, but this year, the 76th anniversary has a different meaning after Russia invaded Ukraine.
I think one of the great words to describe the Iron Curtain speech back then was prescience. Churchill had a vision. He saw what was coming. And in some ways, last week, that happened in Ukraine. The warning of Russian aggression has come to pass.
Reilly says in Churchill's speech, he warned of the threat of a Russian invasion.
I think today we see the reality of a Russian aggression in 2022. The situation in the Ukraine is dire. It's one that Churchill spent most of the 20th century warning us about.
I do not believe that Soviet Russia desires war. What they desire is the fruits of war and the indefinite expansion of their power and doctrine.
And when Reilly examines some of the passages from Churchill's Iron Curtain speech, one stands out.
In the speech, Churchill writes that nobody knows what Soviet Russia will do, but we know that they value military strength, and there's nothing they despise more than military weakness. That passage seems to resonate very loudly this year.
We'll be right back with another look at your forecast.
Got temperatures right now that have very little movement in them. That's why we're still clinging to the teens out on the western edge of southeast Kansas, still sitting as low as 18 in Yates Center and Neurology. We've yet to even hit a 30 on the board. So definitive chill out there. Bundle up with yourself and the kiddos as they head off to the bus stop. Clouds moving in from the southwest. However, we will stay on the dry side today. No precipitation popping up. As you can see, the cold front now penetrating all the way to the deep southeastern portion of the U.S. Highs around the mid-40s later on today. We should be around 57 this time of year, so substantially cooler. We will work up into the 50s for Wednesday and Thursday. Remember, Thursday going to bring us some rain, and that'll result in some Friday morning snow. We'll be right back after this.
Breaking overnight, authorities discover the body of a deceased woman in a residence in Pittsburgh.
We've got temperatures that are going to be far below what we normally anticipate as the cold continues, and then we're going to end up talking about snow for the end of the week. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And rural residents could determine the future of wind turbines in southeast Kansas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Buck. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
I would love to see that average high of 57 at some point in time today.
That would be nice.
Not going to quite get there. We're going to come about 13 degrees short, to be honest with you. There we are over 7th and Range Line. At least our streets are dry this morning compared to what they were yesterday, but only 26 degrees at Joplin Regional Airport as the clouds continue to move in from the southwest, and eventually everybody from the central up to the northwest going to have cloud cover as well. Going to be kind of an overcast Tuesday. Temperatures trying to press up into the 20s in southeast Kansas and trying to get to 30 in southwest Missouri. We've yet to have anybody break that 30-degree mark, however. And an indicator that with that cloud cover and cold start, 44 is about as good as we're going to see this afternoon. Rain for today stays down through central Arkansas and just kind of rolls through right there. I don't think anything that we see as far as our future track radar is going to hit the ground today or tomorrow. Just too dry up there. That changes Thursday. Little Gulf moisture going to bring us some rain that'll eventually end up with Friday snow. Don't forget, this is Severe Weather Preparedness Week. So this morning at 10 a.m., because we do not have the threat of severe weather, Missouri and Kansas are going to be running statewide tornado drills. That'll include you hearing the storm siren and your NOAA radio if you have one, and hopefully you do. If not, it's definitely worth having. That will probably go off. Well, let's hope it goes off, because with it being a statewide drill, if you live in one of those states, hopefully your NOAA radio goes off. If it does not, at 10 a.m., let's check that thing out, see what's going on with it. That's why we do these drills.
I was going to say, that's the whole point of the test and the
That's
drills,
right.
to make sure that everyone is
we
ready.
We want those things to go off today.
Sirens are working, your radios are working. It's Preparedness Week. Yes.
Yeah, let's get it out of the way now.
All right, thanks, Michael. Well, authorities discovered the body of a woman in Pittsburgh just after noon yesterday. The Pittsburgh Police Department was called to a residence at 1105 West 4th Street for a report of a female subject who had not been heard from in some days. Officers and Crawford County EMS responded to the scene and discovered the woman deceased inside the home. Authorities have not released the name of the woman, and the death investigation is being treated as suspicious in nature at this time. Anyone with information should contact the Pittsburgh Police Department. The number to call, 620-231-1700. Crawford County Sheriff's Office wants to remind people to stop for school buses with their stop signs engaged. So much that they've issued a warning. Deputies will be out patrolling school bus routes and giving out violations, a fine, and a court cost of $423.
I think people, if it did happen, they did it and then they're like, oh man, I just saw it the last second, I didn't. So I think you have those, and I think sometimes people just aren't paying attention is what it is. And as we all know, everybody knows, in school year, the buses are out and about and they're picking up kids, and you just have to be aware of that.
Sheriff's Office, above all, wants people to remember that not stopping for school buses that have their stop signs engaged puts the lives of children at risk. Well, tomorrow, Kansas lawmakers will hear a bill about wind turbines that could have a great impact on residents in rural southeast Kansas. The Senate bill would prohibit new wind turbines unless they're equipped with a light reduction technology. This means the lights would turn on only when an aircraft is near. Bill sponsor, Senator Mike Thompson, says he's seen these lights negatively impact residents of rural areas.
About the only concern we've heard is from the Department of Defense, because with the aircraft, whenever they do any kind of flights, it would be sort of a way to be able to track their aircraft, and they're a little bit concerned about how it might impact that.
The bill will be heard in a committee on Wednesday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is not afraid of anyone as Russian forces continue their invasion. He also criticized Russia for breaking last week's ceasefire meant to establish a humanitarian corridor. There's cautious optimism a new one will stick. Laura Podesta has details on a round of talks the two sides had yesterday.
Posting a video from his office, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he's staying in Kyiv as long as necessary to win what he called a patriotic war. An advisor to Zelensky said there was progress during a third round of talks with Russia yesterday on establishing humanitarian corridors, allowing civilians in some cities to escape. Russia said it would open passages into Russia and Belarus, but Ukraine wants routes to the west.
The bottom line is more civilians are being killed.
Pentagon spokesman John Kirby says Russian troops have become frustrated by their lack of progress and have increased their reliance on long-range missile attacks that hit schools and hospitals.
They are having fuel problems. They are having food problems. They are meeting a very stiff and determined Ukrainian resistance.
Bombs could be heard going off near this children's holiday camp, now acting as a shelter.
Please help us, I ask you. Next could be here. I ask you, Governor.
In Washington, a bipartisan group of lawmakers supports a ban on Russian oil as a way to put more pressure on Vladimir Putin.
You're doing it to make sure that our American dollars aren't going to support a Russian illegal war in Ukraine.
A new poll shows 7 in 10 Americans support a ban, even if it means higher gas prices. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
The White House is talking with other oil-producing countries like Venezuela to fill possible gaps, and has also called on oil companies to increase production in the U.S. The UN, meanwhile, says this conflict has led to more than 1.7 million Ukrainians leaving the country, causing the most pressing refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. On this date, in 1917, the February Revolution kicks off in Russia with riots and strikes over the scarcity of food. Government corruption under the czars had run rampant, but the immediate cause for the February Revolution was Russia's disastrous involvement in World War I, which only served to crush Russia's already fragile economy. Moderates were already joining their voices with the radical element and calling for the overthrow of the czar. Strikes, demonstrations, and violence continued for days, with several factories electing deputies to the Soviet or Council of Workers Committees. In a matter of days, the government had collapsed. Tsar Nicholas had abdicated the throne, and it wasn't long before the Bolshevik Revolutionary Party, led by the exiled Vladimir Lenin, assumed control.
The White Army, the Red Army, and Anastasia.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
And here we are today with Russia.
Yep.
I think it's important to look back at history and see what happens, and learn from the past, and sometimes you can find patterns.
I was actually reading a story the other day about the gentleman who claimed responsibility for murdering Nicholas's family after they relocated them several times. Yeah, his first-hand account of the revolution. It was kind of interesting. All right, our temperatures right now, it's chilly outside. We're trying to get up to 30, trying to press up to 30. It's going to take a little bit, though, because the cloud cover, especially where we're even seeing the high 20s right now, temperatures, really, sun's not going to have much of an effect today because we will have overcast skies, around 44 degrees. Remember the big one, big change, not the big one, the big change is coming for Thursday night because that rain followed by a pretty big cold front that brings us a little Friday snow.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Jasmine Kyle from the SEK Humane Society stops by the studio with some furry friends that you might just want to take home. Plus, after almost 2 years with no visitors, the U.S. Capitol gets ready to open its doors to the public. And a new study finds leaded gasoline may have had an impact on the IQ of Generation X. We explain. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, the U.S. Capitol could reopen to the public and do so pretty soon. The consideration coming as mask mandates are lifted in Washington, D.C. and around the country. It's been nearly 2 years since the pandemic shuttered the Capitol building to the public. Lawmakers now working on how to safely reopen the complex as Democratic chiefs of staff were told Monday to expect more information on potential reopening plans here in the next few weeks. United States Supreme Court rejecting Republican challenges to congressional maps in both North Carolina and Pennsylvania. The High Court's two rulings could benefit Democrats in midterm elections. The North Carolina map, drawn by state judges, will probably give Democrats at least one more seat in Congress next year. The court denied an emergency request from Republican legislators to use a different map that would be more favorable to the GOP. Justices Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, and Neil Gorsuch all dissenting. In the Pennsylvania case, a group of 6 Republican voters wanted to freeze a ruling that allowed the maps to take effect and altered the general primary calendar. Supreme Court rejected that request as well. Authorities say 3 wildfires raging in the Florida Panhandle have scorched thousands of acres. Crews are fighting flames by waging a tough battle as dry, windy weather persists. Largest blaze is the Bertha Swamp Road fire. Started in Gulf County, spread to Calhoun and Bay County, that's east of the popular tourist destination of Panama City. Florida Forest Service says as of Monday night, burned an estimated 14,000 acres and was only 10% contained. Evacuation orders in effect. The second largest fire, it's called the Atkins Avenue Fire. It had scorched nearly 900 acres and was 50% contained. Evacuation orders for that fire had been lifted. A man is in custody in Kansas accused of stealing dozens of, cool hand Luke, parking meters. Topeka police say 32-year-old David Allen Brookins pried the meters open to get change, then put them into a shopping cart and hauled them away. They say Brookins stole a total of 26 meters. He's charged with theft and aggravated criminal damage. Police don't know when the meters will be back on the streets or how much it's even going to cost to repair them. They say since the meters are not there, parking enforcement cannot issue citations. Take it off here, boss. Take it off there, Luke. That's a look at today's top national stories. We're going to be back. Jasmine Kyle with a Pet Connection joining us in Studio K right after this.
Welcome back. We have Jasmine Kyle joining us this morning from the SEK Humane Society with one of the cutest puppies you'll ever meet.
Good morning. So the last time we were on, we had that very large litter in, the giant litter of 12, right?
Right.
This is one of them. So this is Apollo. He is just 2 months old and as sweet as can be. Out of that 12, we had some fantastic things happen, and over 10 of them are in foster care right now.
Yay!
So some of them are in foster to adopt, some in foster care, but we still have Apollo and his brother Droopy. He's got these big old droopy ears, and we're currently looking for fosters or foster to adopt homes for them.
And it's been a couple weeks. Remind us the story behind Apollo and his siblings.
Yeah, they were unfortunately surrendered. Somebody had dumped them out into somebody's backyard and they didn't know what to do. Large litters like that are on the rarer side. We personally haven't had a large litter of over a dozen for 2 years now, since 2020. But the kids have been fantastic. They're sweet as can be. We also have 2 other brand new puppies at our shelter. We're getting into puppy kitten season time. And we have Patty and Ferguson. We had the community, we had the community actually name them on our Facebook page for St. Patrick's Day coming up. And they are border collie mixes. So they are sweet as can be. Patty's the girl, Fergus is the boy, and we love the names that the community picked. But yeah, we're getting to puppy kitten season time. So if you have a course been looking particularly into puppies or kittens, please give us a call or visit us on the weekend, because we do have lots of little fur babies, adults, and newborns that are coming into our facility right now.
And, you know, a lot of people think about puppies and stuff over the Christmas season, but like right now is actually smarter to do puppies, because when you're house training and you want them to go to the bathroom outside, and it's warmer outside, they're more apt to do it.
You are 100% on the dot on that. We personally recommend summer, springtime, just for puppies into the intro of your household, just because, one, you have puppy phasing, right? Puppy teething, puppy playing. It's time for them to learn the trips and the ropes of the family household, and especially with potty training, winter's not the best time to do it. If you all don't mind them maybe having a few accidents inside, because they're just like us. They don't want to go out in the snow. But yeah, we have a lot of good things coming up. This Saturday in particular, our doggy bag resale shop is moving locations to 514 North Broadway. And the doggy bag resale shop, 100% of the proceeds go to these guys. It goes to pay for utilities out there. It goes to pay for professional behavioralists to come in on hard to work cases, from medications to dog food. Everything goes back to these guys, young and old out there. But we're having a big grand opening ceremony at the location this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. with free coffee and free desserts and giveaways and raffles. And we're going to have these guys on site. Both Apollo and his brother will be there at noon. So if you'd like to come meet the boys, come on, stop by and see us this Saturday.
All right. Now, the other ones are in foster care right now, but will they eventually be available for adoption? Or
that's what we're working on, because what we have at the end of the foster period, that's when we touch base and see, what are you guys thinking? Is this, and we don't like to use the word foster fail, right? Thank you. We like to think of that as it was meant to be, right? Those 4 paws went through your door for a reason. But yes, of course, fostering, we do not pressure. You do not have to adopt, of course. So with our fosters, about probably a month down the road, because we like to wait till they're about 2.5, 3 months, they will become available for adoption.
All right. Well.
And he's sweet. He is so cute.
What a doll
so
there.
And loves to play. He's a jumper, too. He has like these cute little Bambi feet right now. And when he jumps, like all 4 paws go up in the air at once.
Speaking of puppies and stuff, do you guys ever offer like training classes or something that?
We don't have that on site, unfortunately, but we personally recommend Good Boy Professional Dog Training. Amelia Wheeler and her husband Wade do fantastic things for this community. They do lessons and they do courses. They usually have pet sense. They do home visits. Their information is actually on our website, and they give discounts for shelter animals. They are a fantastic dog handling group. We personally recommend them.
Okay. Yeah. So if you don't have to do it on your own, that's for sure. All right. And I don't think I asked you what type of a dog Apollo was.
We're trying to figure that out right now. So right now, we had them originally down as boxer heeler mixes, but what we're seeing is maybe beagle. So right now, they are red heeler mixes just for now, until the kids get some more length on them to see what exactly what size they're going to be at.
What they're going to grow into.
Exactly.
That's for sure. Hey.
Because they kind of look like little Scoobies right now.
All right. Well, you feel like sticking around with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, we can have Apollo back here in our next hour on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 and hear more about volunteer opportunities and what's going on with the doggy bag.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back. Topping Health Watch this morning, a group of attorneys general in several states across the country have opened an investigation into whether the video sharing platform TikTok is harmful for children. An investigation last year looked into Instagram for similar concerns. Mandy Gaither has more on the concerns and what parents need to know to keep their kids safe.
Social media in the spotlight once again. An investigation into TikTok follows a similar one launched in November by a group of state attorneys general and whether these platforms are harmful to children.
It's really a wake-up call, the power of social media on such a young population.
Dr. Mohammed Al-Dasari, director of the Center for Pediatric Neurosciences at Cleveland Clinic, says social media can affect children's mental health and may even cause or worsen stress and anxiety.
These young minds are very suggestible. They're very vulnerable to these exposures.
Al-Dasari says parents and kids need to be aware of potential dangers. If a child is already suffering from a mental health issue like depression or anxiety, there's a higher risk of adverse effects of social media. Consider limiting exposure, and parents should talk to kids about what they're seeing online.
I think it's something that we really have to address for the well-being and the safety of the young generation.
The investigations into the platform are aimed at seeing whether the companies behind the social media accounts violated consumer protection laws and put children at risk. Children who have experienced a concussion are more at risk for mental health problems. Canadian study of nearly 500,000 children and teens between the ages of 5 to 18 found that those who had sustained a concussion had a 40% higher chance of turning to self-harm or being hospitalized with psychiatric issues. That's compared to young people who had broken bones. A new study published in Jama Neurology finds hearing loss and epilepsy may be early symptoms of Parkinson's disease. Researchers studied the healthcare records of more than 1 million people living in London between 1990 and 2018. They found that along with tremors and memory loss, hearing problems and seizures could also appear 5 to 10 years before a Parkinson's diagnosis. And exposure to lead through gasoline may have cut the IQ scores of half of Americans in the last century. A new study from Duke University finds exposure to leaded gas and car exhaust during childhood may have led to the loss of 800 million total IQ points since the 1940s. Study authors suggest Americans born before 1996 may be at greater risk for lead-related health problems like accelerated brain aging. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Chilly Tuesday start. Temperature is only going to make it up into the mid-40s later on today. We'll break down the middle of the week where it warms up a little bit when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Breaking overnight, authorities discover the body of a deceased woman in a residence in Pittsburgh. Officers are treating the death as suspicious in nature.
However, providing us with really a very pretty Tuesday morning start, but the cold continues through the middle of the week. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And rural residents could determine the future of wind turbines in southeast Kansas.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip, Skywatch Weather Center.
Got about 9 minutes till we get official sunrise over Joplin, but still a very pretty shot outside of Television City, thanks in part to the cloud cover that has rolled in from the southwest and will continue to do so. Mostly cloudy skies throughout the course of our day. We're probably going to run out of sunshine here as soon as it gets a little bit higher and into those clouds. Still waiting on 20s in southeast Kansas, waiting on 30s everywhere else. Anderson may be the first one to get there, sitting right now at 29 degrees. So a definitive chill in our Tuesday morning air, and mid-40s about as good as we're going to see. Nice thing is, won't have to fight the wind like we did the last couple of days. All the rain stays down to the southeast. What we see there pop up on Future Track, probably not even going to hit the ground today. Clearing skies for Wednesday. That'll allow the sunshine to warm us up into the mid-50s for Wednesday and Thursday. And then Thursday night rain is going to flip over into a little snow for Friday morning. Remember, 10 a.m. on this Tuesday morning, statewide tornado drills for both Missouri and Kansas. Don't be alarmed when it does go off. The reason we're running the drills today is we're able to do so as scheduled because we do not have the threat of severe weather on this Tuesday.
All right, well, authorities discovered the body of a woman in Pittsburgh just after noon yesterday. The Pittsburgh Police Department was called to a residence at 1105 West 4th Street for a report of a female subject who had not been heard from in some days. Officers and Crawford County EMS responded to the scene. discovered the woman deceased inside the home. Authorities have not released the name of the woman, and the death investigation is being treated as suspicious in nature at this time. Anyone with information should contact Pittsburgh Police Department 620-231-1700. Joplin City Council last night discussed adding a lodging ordinance to the city's codes. An ordinance would allow the city of Joplin to supersede state lodging rule. The state's rule sets guidelines for lodging establishments regarding sanitation and safety standards for things like food, wiring, plumbing, and pools. According to the state, a lodging establishment is a building with at least 5 guest rooms, so it would not include most short-term rentals like Airbnbs.
Having an ordinance in place, it would provide some consistency on the inspections. It would also give us the ability to possibly strengthen some existing codes.
According to a survey by the city manager, there are 24 establishments in Joplin that qualify, with the smallest having 20 rooms and the largest 138. The Russian invasion of Ukraine could be having a critical effect on the world's food supply. Kevin Cork has the latest on how the conflict may impact the harvest and shipment of grain across the globe when a possible food crisis may begin. The war is also driving up the cost of grain over fears of a possible future shortage. Putting the once affordable wheat supplies, I'll just read off my prompter. Okay, putting the once affordable wheat supplies even further out of reach for those who need it the most. Tomorrow, Kansas lawmakers will hear a bill about wind turbines that could have a great impact on residents in rural southeast Kansas. Senate bill would prohibit new wind turbines unless they're equipped with a light reduction technology. This means the lights would turn on only when an aircraft is near. Bill sponsor, Senator Mike Thompson, says he's seen these lights negatively impact residents of rural areas.
About the only concern we've heard is from the Department of Defense, because with the aircraft, whenever they do any kind of flights, it would be sort of a way to be able to track their aircraft, and they're a little bit concerned about how it might impact that.
The bill will be heard in a committee this Wednesday. On this date in 1983, President Ronald Reagan publicly refers to the Soviet Union as the evil empire. Speaking to a convention of the National Association of Evangelicals in Florida, President Reagan called the Soviet Union the evil empire for the second time during his presidency. Some regarded Reagan's choice of words as brilliant Democratic rhetoric inspired by Star Wars, while others denounced it as irresponsible bombast. Reagan's aggressive stance towards the Soviet Union became known as the Reagan Doctrine. He saw the fight against the Soviet Union as nothing less than the fight against good and evil. Soviet economy ultimately collapsed in the late 1980s, ending decades of communist rule in Russia and Eastern Europe. Reagan and his supporters credited his hardline anti-communist policies for defeating Soviet communism.
And of course, evil empire in the Star Wars reference, not the only Star Wars allusion associated with the Reagan White House, as we would also come to be. We would also know the futuristic defense system simply known as Star Wars.
There you go.
Temperatures right now as low as 18 out in Yates Center and Neodesha. Now, luckily the wind's not blowing in, so not a big difference between the temperatures and the wind chills, but it is chilly outside. Afternoon planner, mostly cloudy skies. We'll go mid-40s, top out around 44. Overnight, skies clear off, and while that's going to make for another cool morning on Wednesday, at least it'll let the sun take effect, get us up into the 50s for Wednesday and Thursday before that Thursday rain arrives and turns into a little snow on Friday.
That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, the crackdown on Russian finances continues as the White House is expected to begin regulation of cryptocurrency this week. We'll explain. Plus, looks legitimate, sounds legitimate, but is it really? We want to know if you've ever been the victim of a scam. We let you weigh in. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, expect some sticker shock the next time your vehicle needs to be refilled. Gas prices in the U.S. are hitting levels never seen before, thanks in large part to the uncertainty caused by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. John Lawrence reports.
The cost of filling up is going up.
88, yeah. That's a lot more than I thought it'd be.
According to the Oil Price Information Service, the national average for a gallon of regular gas is $4.14 as of Monday night. That breaks the record set during the summer of 2008 by 3 cents.
We're definitely watching our pennies on where we spend it, but for the most part, I mean, it's kind of kicking our behind.
Analysts say the crisis in Ukraine is fueling the latest price hike.
Because of the actions of President Putin, because he invaded a sovereign country, that created instability in the markets.
While the White House said oil producers have the profits and permits to drill more, some Republicans say the situation can be improved from within.
This White House seems determined to go hat in hand and beg every bad actor around the world to ramp up their own fossil fuel production, but still will not stop their holy war against our own American energy production here at home.
Americans probably won't be getting a break in the near future. The Oil Price Information Service says a national average of $5 a gallon is possible. Many California commuters are already paying more than that.
Not a thing. There's nothing to do except deal with it.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
AAA reports the least expensive gas in the U.S. is found in Missouri at an average of $3.63 per gallon. That's up about 30 cents from last week. I know Michael and I found some gas yesterday that was like $3.39. $3.39, but I have a feeling it's gone up since then. Well, stocks had their worst day since October 2020. The Dow tumbled 797 points. The Nasdaq lost 482. The tech-heavy index is now in bear territory, down 20% from its all-time high. The S&P 500 dropped 127. And a third round of talks between Russia and Ukraine concluded without any progress toward ending the war. In a new Quinnipiac University poll, 71% of Americans say they would support a ban on Russian oil, even if it meant they would pay more at the pump. President Biden is reportedly expected to sign an executive order this week to begin government regulation of cryptocurrency. That's according to the Associated Press. It's in response to growing concerns Russia could use cryptocurrency to evade the impact of sanctions levied in response to its invasion of Ukraine. The Justice Department, Treasury, and all other agencies will also study the possible development of a U.S.-backed digital coin. And Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Calvin Ridley has been suspended indefinitely by the NFL, at least through the 2022 season, for betting on games. The league says he placed the wagers for a week in November when he wasn't playing. Ridley tweeted that he bet $1,500 and does not have a gambling problem. His contract, for which he was set to make $11 million this year, will be put on pause until next year. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, we're discussing scams. College student in Indiana ended up being scammed. She got an email, seemed totally legit. Of course, turns out it wasn't. She was discussing playing for this couple's wedding. They sent her a check for $1,900. Claimed they sent her $1,700 too much, asked for it back, so she did that. But then the rest of the check bounced. That brings us to our something to talk about. Have you ever been scammed? Right now, luckily, 62% of you say no, haven't been on the receiving end, but 38%, we've seen this number grow substantially throughout the course of the show, say yes, you have fallen victim to it. And Tanya brought up a good point. If there's anything that you'd like to share about your story as maybe a heads up for other people, you can do that on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. You can also go directly to the poll, koamnewsnow.com/vote, or if you have your phone handy and you would like to snap a picture of our QR code, that will deliver you to the poll each and every morning. There she is right there. Once again, all you got to do, use your phone and take a picture of that, and it will deliver you there. We're going to come back and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but first, a trip to the Big Apple. We got to check in with Nate.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, former Attorney General William Barr joins us to discuss his new book where he both praises and criticizes former President Trump, ultimately arguing his former boss is not fit to be president again. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Cody Long. Specialist Cody Long served in the Army from February of 2010 through February of 2011, and then again in March of 2012 to May of that year. He served in Afghanistan with the 187th Infantry Unit, as well as the 101st Airborne Division. While in the service, he earned his Air Assault Wings. He earned the Army Achievement Medal, 2 Army Commendation Medals, and many more. His hometown, Moran, Kansas. We thank you, today's four-state hero, Cody Long.
Birthday list will begin with Hadley John, all dressed up for the big birthday party right there. Hadley is celebrating her 3rd birthday in Thayer. Happy birthday, Hadley.
All right, in Mapleton, Kansas, Gunner Northcutt turns 4 years old. Happy birthday, Gunner.
Sharp hat, man. Sharp hat. I like that. Jay Little is celebrating his 6th birthday. A sharp-dressed dude right there, too. Happy birthday to Jay in Diamond.
All right, Marshall Kraft is 7 strong this year.
Whoa.
Marshall is celebrating in Walnut, Kansas.
Check that.
His hands full there.
Marshall, those are as big as you, my man.
Yeah, they are.
All right. Look, he's about to put them in the cooler. So we're going to go home. We're going to eat well tonight. Happy birthday. Robert Stein is celebrating his 8th birthday. That's a cool ride right there. That's pretty neat.
Cool.
Gas powered and everything, isn't it? Huh? I like that ride. Is that his name on the front of it?
Yeah, it sure does. It says
Oh,
Robert,
man.
And on the side it says Robert Stein. Number 15.
What number is it?
Number 15?
I couldn't tell if it was 15 or 16 right there just because of the angle.
I think it's a 5.
I like that. That's cool, man.
Cool.
All right, happy birthday to Robert in Joplin. Robert, this comes with love from Mom.
And we've got Addison Avery turning 9 years old this year. Great picture. Throwback from Christmas there in Girard.
Back to Thayer. Party on in Thayer. Emma Lou Whitley. She is celebrating her 11th birthday. Have a great day, Emma Lou.
Brandon Bishop celebrating birthday number 16
No way.
this year.
16?
Ah, we got a
Oh
Chiefs
my
fan there
goodness.
in Pittsburgh.
That's crazy.
Looks like he was able
Driver's
to take in a
license time
game.
for the Bishop family now. Eric Howe, speaking of milestone birthdays, Eric Howe, he is turning 21. And Eric, these wishes come with love from the whole family. And that little one right there on the right, well, that happens to be one Eric Jr. Eric Jr. is only 6 months old. So he's got about 20 years and 6 months to catch up with Dad right there.
Yep. Wow. All right. And we've got Brian Phillips celebrating birthday number 38 this year.
Green grass, shorts, t-shirt, warmer weather. Brian, that picture just makes me happy knowing it was sunny that day. I like that.
Time to hit the streets and do some running.
Dale Gothier celebrating the Big 5-0. Great picture right there. Happy birthday to Dale in Fort Scott with birthday wishes from the entire family.
Look at those pictures. And Mona Brumbaugh,
Hey!
62 years old this year. Looking great there, Mona. Happy birthday in Weir.
Happy birthday, Miss Mona. Sharon Henderson, she is celebrating her 80th birthday. Sharon, a very happy birthday to you in Pittsburgh.
All right. Fern Beasley, belated birthday wishes going out to you. You were celebrating yesterday. We'll just keep on celebrating today as well. Miss Fern is in Altoona.
Denise Richard, no S at the end, just Denise Richard, celebrating number 45. And Denise's birthday was yesterday, but Denise, we're going to carry, you know what? We're going to carry this thing all the way to the weekend. How about that? This birthday wish comes with love from Mom and Dad, and Miss Denise is in Arma. And Caitlin McNeil, a 26th birthday. Now, Caitlin is down in Stillwater, but that's okay, because you can catch all our birthdays and anniversaries online each and every morning. And it just so happens she is a former Miami War Dog. So a very happy 26th to Caitlin. That's where you can send them into. Birthdays at KOAMTV.com. You can also go to our website at KOAMNewsNow.com. Speaking of the interweb, here is Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
All right, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up, and once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMNewsNow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Coming up here in just a little bit when we transition over to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, going to meet a gentleman by the name of Zane Stubendeck. Now, Zane did see the world in mostly shades of gray until his friend surprised him with a birthday gift. It's a special pair of glasses, and wait until you check out his reaction and find out what the world now looks to him now that he's got those special glasses. Once again, that's when we transition to the KOAM Morning News over on Fox 14. Now that we've officially hit sunrise over the 4 states, like I said, we've got a couple more minutes of holding on before it gets too high up there and the clouds are going to obscure it. Kind of interesting that get a better shot of it when it comes right over the horizon than we will, and say about the next half an hour to 45 minutes. Cold one outside, 26 degrees right now over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. There's a look at our cloud cover. On the dry side today, just got to warm up a little bit because we still don't have anybody who's even got to 30 degrees. Anderson, our clubhouse leader right now, at 29. 7-day forecast, 11 degrees warmer on Wednesday, like that. And remember, Thursday night brings us a little rain, also brings us a cold front with a little snow for Friday morning. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Crawford County Sheriff's Office says it's seen a rise in people going around stopped school buses with their stop signs engaged. In response, the Sheriff's Office says it will be cracking down. Deputies will be out patrolling school bus routes and issuing violations, which can each total more than $400 after a fine and court cost. A ribbon cutting on Monday marked the completion of a renovation of the original Broadway entrance to Pitt State's Russ Hall. The original entrance was built in 1940. This renovation was funded with gifts from the senior classes of 2000 and the classes of 2003 through 2008. A number of other events celebrated Apple Day at Pitt State, including the traditional apple dessert contest. Apple Day is the university's longest running tradition. And while Monday was Apple Day at Pitt State for faculty and students, for alumni and community members, it was also Giving Day. It's a 24-hour campaign encouraging alumni and people in the community to give back to the university. There are special challenges to raise funds and awareness for different departments and programs. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Cloudy and cool for our Tuesday. At least it won't be too windy. There's a positive. All the rain stays down through central Arkansas. Then we clear off overnight into Wednesday. That'll give us a little sunshine and some warmth here in the middle of the week. Mid-50s for Wednesday. Thursday, remember, Thursday bringing us rain, followed by a cold front and some snow Friday morning. Also, as a friendly reminder, this morning at 10 a.m., statewide tornado drills for both Missouri and Kansas, able to do so on schedule since we do not have the threat of severe weather. Just want to remind everybody so the alarm bells don't go off when you do hear the sirens go off. Once again, this is at 10 a.m.
Yep, nothing to worry about. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making 5-star chicken in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Of course, your morning news continues on KOAM. CBS Mornings coming up next. Professional NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace on his new Netflix series, Race Bubba Wallace, and his fight for diversity on the racetrack.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, we're going to take a look at SAD, or seasonal affective disorder, and ways to treat it.
I had a boss tell me one time that I had that. I said, that's the most ridiculous thing. You just made that up on the spot. And then I found out it actually does exist.
I was thinking about that exact conversation.
Be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we'll do it again today at noon.